Good afternoon and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at the pitching for today, the 30th of April. It is Wednesday. We do have a 9-game main slate ahead of us. There's a 4-game early slate, but pitching's pretty crap on that. Play King, play some Gonsolin, maybe. Play some Sale, even though he's in Coors. Maybe close your eyes and pick Tyler Anderson or Emerson Hancock, but it's really just not an exciting pitching slate. So I'm going to spend some time focusing on this main slate. A reminder, this is a first look at the pitching options on the slate, and I will be utilizing DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you play in FanDuel, I would cut my pool into a half, as you do not have to be as creative. Pricing isn't quite as tight. You can get the stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher, even though there really isn't an upper tier-ish pitcher on the slate. Anyways, let's take a look at what we got ahead of us. Weather-wise, we have nothing to worry about from a rain standpoint. No real winds to be afraid of. It is going to be cool in Chicago, which is nice because that's a match of a couple mediocre pitchers that we might want to take advantage of. Low 80s in Tampa Bay. That's an interesting spot because we do get a couple pitchers that are interesting enough, but do we have to downgrade them because of the ballpark? Possibly. Jump over to the actual games. Yankees, Baltimore. Not interested in pitching in this one in the slightest. If I lose tonight because people decided to use Povich or Carrasco, so be it. I will take all their money every other time that this matchup happens. With a game total of, let's take a look. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I thought it was pretty high. 9.5. So it's a spot that I do not want to deal with the pitching. Game total in this game, 8.5 in the Cubs and Pirates. Matthew Boyd is going to make my pool. K-prop of 5.5 with juice on the over, which is tied for first on this particular slate. Feels gross. We don't have some prop numbers for a few pitchers, but out of the ones I do have, Matthew Boyd tied for first with the best K-prop on the slate. Hasn't been super sharp the last few, but has shown some solid ability and upside. Should be in the mid to upper 90s in pitch count. Pittsburgh themselves, not a super dangerous offense, especially against left-hand pitching. I think we are perfectly fine with Matthew Boyd, who is a minus 175 favorite. He's plus 120 to earn the W, which, of all the names written down that have props, he is the best odds for earning the W tonight. Outs prop 16.5 juice on the over. That one's not the best, but still, a lot of things pointing towards Matthew Boyd being a strong option. No interest in Lodzitsky against this Cubs team. St. Louis and Cincinnati. This one intrigues me somewhat. Kind of have to see how the first game goes in that doubleheader. Chase Petty making his major league debut. Was throwing 100 in high school, but now sits in the low to mid 90s. I think he's tried to pitch more towards some contact and avoid some of the walks, etc. K numbers have been up this year, but obviously his walk numbers are up a little high as well. Somebody that I wish we had some props on, but Cincinnati is a minus 125 favorite, not 175. Minus 125 favorite in this one. It's actually moved to minus 118. Game total of 9, though. Juice is on the over. Obviously, we know this ballpark offense can happen. But overall, I just don't think St. Louis is that scary of an offense. I know they've had some strong performances early in the season. They have a couple bats that have been doing well for the first month. So Petty does intrigue me a bit because he's a first-round arm that Cincinnati acquired from the Twins a couple of years ago. Steven Matz, great start against Houston. He's kind of been yo-yo between the bullpen and then having to fill in as a starter. I don't mind left-handed pitching versus Cincinnati. I may not end up on Matt since he is the underdog in here. I'm hoping some of the props show up this afternoon so I can make a better decision. Right now, I would have Matts on the outside looking in and Petty in my pool. Washington, Philadelphia, not really interested in Jake Irvin. He has thrown the ball pretty well this year, obviously against two weaker offenses in Colorado and Pitt. One of those starts coming in Coors. Super interesting, but he does have some home run issues at times. Coming off of a strong start against a tough Mets squad. But I'm just not going to go to a mediocre pitcher against the Phillies. I know there are outs in that Phillies lineup. Game total is just 7.5. Juice is on the over. But he's a pretty sizable underdog. I didn't really write down his props because he's not somebody that I'm going to be interested in, or at least I'm hoping I don't have to play. Obviously, things change as the day goes on as I dig into more and more things. Christopher Sanchez, definitely a guy. He left his last start early with the forearm issue. That's obviously a concern, right? Like, things can pop up, but some of that is like he was throwing a ton of pitches in 2 innings in that last start. Had a huge spring, just a ton of momentum for him coming into the year. Talk about his velocity being up, his changeup being one of the best changeups in all of baseball. Absolutely dominated against San Francisco with 12 strikeouts. Struck out 9 against a tough Dodger squad. Overall, the Washington team isn't super dangerous. He's such a strong favorite. Game total, like I mentioned, is at 7.5. It actually opened at 8 with juice on the over at the time, so it's come down a considerable amount, more than a half a run basically. Minus 230 favorite. His K prop's 5.5 with juice on the over, so he's tied at the top on this particular slate when it comes to K props. Probably going to be a fairly popular option. Let's see if we have ownership projections for this slate up. We do. Taking a look at, he is projected to be the highest owned pitcher right now, according to our projections, which makes sense to me. Kansas City, Tampa Bay. Kansas City calling up Noah Cameron to make his debut. A lot of strikeouts in the minor leagues so far this season. He's left-handed. I do like left-handed pitching against Tampa Bay. Definitely far more than right-handed pitching. Very interesting option for us. Obviously, it's a ballpark we don't love. I do want to kind of find out if he's more of a ground ball or a fly ball guy. That's something that I don't know. His K-prop sitting at 4.5 with juice on the under. Tampa Bay is a minus 185 favorite in this game. So obviously Cameron, an underdog, but I mean, he is min-priced. I don't just jam in min-priced pitchers because they're min-priced. I need to see a route to 25 fantasy points. I think there is a route for Cameron, but that's one I'm going to have to dig in. So tentatively, he's going to make my pitcher pool. Drew Rasmussen coming off of a rough performance. It's basically going to be in the mid to low 80s, or low to mid 80s, I guess, in pitch count. It's not really going up much. He did pitch into the 6th in one start, but he's basically been a 5-inning guy. Rough start against a difficult Arizona squad. It's a spot we weren't really on him as much because Arizona versus right-handed pitching is a pretty dangerous offense. Kansas City, not a huge K team. Rasmussen's K prop's at 5.5 with juice on the under. So he's close enough to the top K prop on the slate to have me be interested. He's been pretty steady. He's basically going to be a 4 to 7K guy, probably more in the 4 to 6 range. I think we probably don't see a ton of 7K outings from him, especially while he's stuck in that 5-inning range. His outs prop is at 15.5 with juice on the under, basically pinpointing him as a 5-inning guy. Doesn't allow a ton of base runners. I'm interested. He's plus 195 during the W, which does seem a little low on the odds. But still, it's a spot that I have more interest in than I probably should, given the ballpark and the weather in Tampa Bay. Toronto and Boston, not interested in Giolito making his return. Eric Lauer, probably not. He's a guy that had been decent with the Brewers a couple years ago, but he kind of fell off again. It's the first time I'm seeing him as a projected starter, so I have to dig in more to get an idea, see what he's been throwing at the minor leagues. He's left-handed. Left-handed pitching is the way that I would prefer to attack Boston right now, but Boston's still pretty strong that I may not get there. Lauer's just another guy that we need to look into a bit more to get an idea of what's going on exactly. Corbin Burnes against a difficult Mets offense. I like the way he threw against Tampa Bay in his last outing, just one earned. 8 strikeouts, those numbers were up. 8 strikeouts against the Yankees earlier. Like, he can still get to some strikeouts, but 3 of his 5 starts have seen him throw just 3 strikeouts. That's a worry. Ground ball rate's solid. He's just allowing more base runners than he used to seeing from Corbin Burnes. I'm just not sure I want to use that against the Mets. With that said, Burnes is a -115 favorite. He's plus 155 to earn the W. So his odds are stronger than Rasmussen. Only slightly worse than Tobias Myers taking on the White Sox. K-prop of 5.5, so he's tied with Rasmussen at that number as well. Odds prop 17.5 juice on the over. Really expecting 6 innings. I think based on the slate we're looking at, I think Burnes is in play for us. But it's not one that I feel super happy about relying on heavily. Waddell, I want to dig into his minor league numbers this season. It shows here that he's been impressive through 23 innings. Not a huge K per inning guy, but run prevention. He's also 30 years old, so he's not some prospect. Being a bulk guy, a little worried because that really means he could throw 2 innings or he could throw 4. I don't really think he's going to throw 5. But following an opener, that does put him in line for a W if the Mets can get to Corbin Burnes initially. Don't really have anything on the props, but the game total in this one is just 8. And Waddell being left-handed is the only reason why he's in play for me, because I like left-handed pitching against Arizona right now. Milwaukee and the White Sox, the coldest game on the slate. The worst offense on this particular slate resides in this game, and the White Sox taking on Tobias Myers, making his 2nd start of the season at the major league level. Walks were an issue, just base runners in general, in his first one against San Francisco. San Francisco, a disciplined veteran team. The White Sox, not disciplined, and they're definitely not a veteran-laden team. He's plus 140 to earn the W, which is just behind Evalde and Boyd on this slate. 4.5 is his K-prop. Juice is on the under, but the Brewers are -166 favorites, and this game has the lowest total on the slate at 7.5. I think Myers is just play because he's facing the White Sox. He did look good in some of his rehab performances, so I still think his return was just, maybe some jitters returning to the majors, but obviously the Giants and their patient offense probably had something to do with that. Shane Smith is a guy that's kind of been somewhat impressive so far this season. He's had some bad starts, but then some solid ones as well. I'd have to look again, but I could have swore that I think he's been slightly reverse splits. If he has been, that makes him even stronger against the Brewers team that we expect there to be a handful of lefties in the lineup. So for me, Smith is going to be in play. He doesn't have a win prop yet, but his K-prop's the same as Myers at 4.5 with juice on the under. And like I mentioned, it is the lowest total on the slate. Last game, Evalde and Severino, both guys are going to be in play for me. Not much needs to be said about the two veterans. Evalde's 5.5 K-prop and Severino at 4.5 with juice on the over on both of them. Evalde plus 130 to earn the W. Severino plus 215. Both guys are definitely in play on this particular slate. But there we have it. There's the first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. Get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, it's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.